So there's a number of things that you can use to cut and blend the extensions, and it all depends on your creativity as a stylist. So you can use your regular shears, you can use your thinning shears or texturizing shears, and you can also use a razor to cut and blend the extensions. We do have 4 points of interest that we want to go over to ensure a most natural result when we're finished. So this is our mannequin, and we've just installed our tape-in extensions on her, and we're ready to go ahead and blend them. Now, for education purposes, we have used a different color of extensions so that you can see where the mannequin's hair stops and the extensions start. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to opt to start with my regular shears first so that I can demonstrate the use of those. So I've got my comb and my regular shears. Now, the first thing that we want to do, our very first point of interest, is to determine the length or the bottom length of the extensions, the longest length that we're going to leave that hair. So I'm just going to turn our mannequin a little bit so that we can see more of the back of her hair. Then I'm going to pull her hair down and determine how much of that length I need to remove so that it doesn't look stringy. I always want to make sure that I'm using a point cutting motion. I'm never going to be cutting blunt or straight lines. So I'm just going to lift it and create a deep point cutting motion into the ends of that hair to remove the length. So I'm going to work all across the back, removing the length of that hair. All right, so in order to finish point of interest number 1, we just established that length all the way around the perimeter. Now, point of interest number 2 is to frame the face. So I'm gonna spin our mannequin back towards you, and we're gonna just simply find where her length stops here and where the extension hair starts. And that's where we're gonna place our shear or our razor and continue that blending line. So we're gonna pull it kind of forward around the head and just soften that edge, connecting her layers in the front down to the baseline that we just created in the back. Now I wanna show you how to use a razor on this as well. So if I'm gonna use a razor, I would just simply be holding the razor in my hand, and I would be doing the exact same thing. Right behind, allow her hair to fall out, and then come in with my razor and create that soft motion and that soft blend behind it. We would repeat the exact same thing on the opposite side of the head. Now, if we're gonna use a razor, we wanna make sure that we're using a nice new blade so that we're creating a nice soft line without pulling and distressing the hair. Okay, so we've completed point of interest number 2, framing the face. Now we're ready to move to point of interest number 3, which is to connect the layers. So I'm gonna demonstrate how to do this using both the razor and the shears. So I'm gonna start with my razor. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take that section of hair, being mindful of the bottom length. We wanna make sure that we drop some of that bottom length out of our hand so that we don't cut that length any shorter. Then we're gonna pull it out, away from the client's hair. Again, watching where the client's hair stops and our extensions start. And that's where we begin the blend. So we're gonna place our razor in and just start that connection from there down. Go to our next section. Again, being mindful of that bottom piece, dropping some of that bottom out, combing it out, watching the client's hair fall, and beginning our connection from there down. Now, whether we choose to use the razor or the shear, the technique is exactly the same. So you can use your creativity to decide which one of the tools you're the most comfortable with and the one that you would like to use. So I'm gonna show you how to do it with the shears as well. We do the exact same thing. So I'm just gonna spin my mannequin, take that section, drop the bottom length out so that I don't cut into that, comb it out, find the client's hair, place my shear in, and begin my connection as well. Slide cutting motion as I do this. And I just continue to work all the way around the client's head and through their hair, continuing to blend each one of those sections as I go. Pull it out, find their hair, allow that to drop, and create my connection. So to finish point of interest number 3, we're gonna do that all the way around the head. Now for point of interest number 4, this is our final step and the most important. This is the step that's going to make or break the extensions. We can install a great head of extensions, but if we don't cut them and blend them properly, they look awful when we're finished. So point of interest number 4 is creating those details. So this is where your creativity as an artist really comes into play. There's no guidelines here, except that you're going to take those areas where you still see heaviness or not enough texture in the hair, and those are the areas that you're gonna finish off and blend. So you may pick up just a few sections or just a few pieces and take your shear and just slide cut down into those pieces until you see a really soft, blend, natural look. We want the most believable, least obvious look to the hair. So again, you can use your shears, you can use your razor, you might use texturizing shears to help soften the ends, to help reduce some of the bulk, whatever you need to do to make it look fantastic and to make it your own. So as you can see, there's many different options for cutting and blending the extensions. We just want to make sure that we keep in mind our 4 points of interest. So as a recap, point of interest number 1, establish the length. Point of interest number 2, frame the face. Point of interest number 3, connect the layers. And point of interest number 4, your finishing touches and/or detail work. So in order to create the most natural and believable look possible, we want to keep in mind these interest points. Now, some other do's and don'ts that we want to keep in mind while we're cutting and blending the extensions. First of all, we never want to cut or blend extensions when they're wet. We always want to do it when the hair is dry, so that we can see how that hair is going to respond and fall automatically, so there's no surprises. We never want to cut any blunt lines into the hair. We want to remember that always, no matter what implement we're using, whether it's our shears or our razor, that we're always using those soft feather motions when we're cutting the extensions. Now, when we're cutting wavy or curly extensions, extra care needs to be taken when we're cutting those extensions. Too much texturizing with wavy or curly extensions can make them appear more fuzzy or frizzy. So we need to be careful when we're using our razor especially. We might want to use a cutting oil or lotion to help that razor glide through the hair while we're cutting those types of extensions. And last but not least, always remember that less is not always more when we're cutting and blending extensions. If we leave too much of the hair on the head and we don't blend the natural hair into the extensions enough, it will look just as bad as if we didn't put enough extensions in to start with. Or if we cut those extensions so that they look too short or too stringy.